2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City. Thank you for making us part of your day where the sun is out from the High Falls Studios in downtown Rochester. My name is Gene Battaglia, Rochester bred, Rochester raised, proud Rochesterian. 585-866-4326, that's our number. Plenty of ways you can consume the show. FM, 95.7 FM, AM 950, streaming, as always, for free inside the Odyssey app. And inside the app, you can find a lot of things there, including interviews, which we've had in the past on the show. We are certainly on YouTube and Twitch. Hello to our viewers there, which you can leave a comment if you so desire. And you can reach us on all social media, preferred method during the show, our X account at WGRRochester.com. It's fun when your team actually wins a game in a horrible season. I still get excited watching the Mets turn a double play to end it. They just took 2 or 3 from the Padres. Here's a fun fact, Tim. The team with the best record since the Major League Baseball trade deadline, that'd be the New York Mets.
And they're on a heater now, and unfortunately it's probably about 100 games too late. But it is nice to see the team succeed. Yeah, it's 11-15, and it's like, what does it matter? But, I'm trying to soak in as much baseball as I can because you know what? I know it's going away. I think there's a story right now, and part of it is because so many media outlets are tied to baseball and they don't want to offend anybody in baseball. I think the Dodgers being sold is actually amazing. We'll get to that in the show because somebody really dug into the finances of this guy and how are they able to pay 9 guys $1 billion on the books until the decade of the 2040s. It's a shell game, and the feds have come knocking, and it's not 100% tied to the Dodgers, but this guy Walter, we'll get to that. We've got football on our mind, though, of course. 585-866-4326. That's the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub. 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. Good Smoke, BBQ.com. Table set today as we will be talking to our injury expert, Dr. Charlie Schumann, pride of Penn State and Pittsburgh from Lattimore Physical Therapy, as, hey, Keon Coleman's in a walking boot. And the thing with Joe Brady is we're not getting details on these injuries. No timelines, no anything. When it comes to Keon Coleman, the concerning thing to me is it's listed as foot/toe. Ooh, is that a big toe? Is that it? Well, I don't know, and it's a little speculatory, certainly. But when you hear that, what could that, in theory, mean? Well, we'll break down some of these Bills injuries. Also, get Charlie's take on Aaron Judge. Been cleared to swing a bat this week. So, all right, how would you ramp Aaron Judge up to get him in time here for baseball? Like, something would have to really happen terrible for the Yankees to miss the postseason at this point. I think they're going to be just fine, but you want Aaron Judge healthy and ready to go when the postseason comes around. 585-866-4326, that is the number. Travel day for the Bills today. They are heading to Berea, Ohio. I think that's the suburb. Where they will be having the joint practice with the Browns. I mean, they did this twice at Fisher. Once in 2004, and then once. You had just started, and I got you a credential. You were geeked out. It was 2004 and 2014, I think, 'cause it was the Manziel year.
Manziel. Is that crazy? Johnny Manziel was in Rochester. We thought, my gosh, he's going to be the answer here for Cleveland. Wow, they waited on him, and they got our guy, and well, we haven't had anything like that, Fisher, and I don't think we ever will again. When you see 40,000 people show up for practice, the town of Pittsford, little-known fact, they have an ordinance. Like, Fisher can't build the stadium to seat 10,000 because, the town won't allow it. So, the Bills, correctly say we want to make sure that we're, the fan experience is important. We don't want fans sitting 20 deep watching practice, and that's all true. But if they were really serious about, improving the Fisher experience, you could tell the school, hey, put in grass or we'll pay for grass at Groundy Stadium, and all of a sudden, voila, you could double the attendance there. But that's not going to happen in part because of, the town of Pittsburgh. That being said, 40,000 at practice on Tuesday, and the majority of them are, hey, let's just go check out the stadium while there's a practice here. But you get the sense of, okay, 40,000 people.
how many of those 40,000 people actually spent some money, bought food, had a drink? Heck, Bills fans are having probably an alcoholic beverage, I would think, at that hour, some of them. Bought a jersey, whatever it was. You're walking through that stadium and might be spending a little money, maybe even for parking with a bit. Well, once they build across the street, and the Bills have been kind of mum on this, but the developments will go up with restaurants and whatnot. So it's all going to be designed that, not only will you go to a Bills game, but you're going to be spending a little money. And we'd love to have you come out to Bills practice or the blue and red event, whatever it is. You'll be spending more money. We'll get to this in a little bit because since the show started, we really haven't gotten any. People have been mainly positive, but I got an angry call. We'll get to that in a second, where I was like, oh, all right, well, look, if you're leaving a voicemail, that's fair game. I have the right to play this, which you haven't heard this yet, Tim.
No, I've not.
I have my suspicions, though. I'll let you be the judge. Is this real or is this just somebody putting us on? But somebody took time out of their day, actually, to give us a call on this. Before we get to that, yesterday, Matt Perino was fantastic on this. And going back to the spring, and I've been steadfast on this, that the Bills, for all the swings they've taken on the defensive side of the ball, you don't have that game wrecker. Over the years, this hasn't happened in the Brandon Beane era. A lot of solid players, mind you, a lot of good players like Christian Benford, and certainly, it was actually McDermott who brought in the two safeties, and we've had competent defensive line play, and Terrell Bernard in 2023 was fantastic. But you don't have that guy that, we got to concern ourselves with. I think we do now. What you saw from Deion Walker, this wasn't like Greg Rousseau, who tossed a backup tackle of the Steelers aside and got 2 sacks early on. We're like, this is Greg Rousseau. And I remember talking to Greg Rousseau at camp a few years ago, and Sean McDermott had the line that we'd like to get him more mattable. Not like M-A-T-T, like M-A-D, like, we'll make you mad and go out there. Deion Walker, between the size, the moves, and the speed, and the agility, and everything else, he is going to be a problem on the defensive line. And if he's going to command double teams, well, then congratulations, you're going to have to deal with Ed Oliver working one-on-one against a guard or something like that. And what my eyes were telling me, whether it be, at Fisher, the Carolina game, I wanted to ask the expert, Matt Perino. This is Matt Perino. Really, if you're a Bills fan, you're going to like hearing this. Matt Perino talking about Deion Walker.
He has the chance to be the best defensive draft pick of Brandon Beane's tenure. That sounds hyperbolic, right? Like when you say that, there's been a lot of really talented guys over the years, but there really hasn't been on the defensive side a bona fide true superstar. Like a different that was drafted, right? Like they bring in Von Miller. He had a little bit of a run there before the injury where he was looking the part. Ed Oliver had the breakout year with 9.5 sacks, but even that is a low bar. Like we could have a conversation about what Christian Benford looked like last year. He's arguably maybe the best defensive player that Beane's drafted. I don't know, man. This guy just feels different. Like they're asking him to be a presence in the run game, somebody that's going to affect in the backfield, the running back and the quarterback, be somebody that from the nose tackle position, and I know it's not a true over-the-center nose. They're going to ask him to do different things depending on who earns the other roster spots on the interior. Like they can even get creative and line him up at 4-eye and let him rush the passer. There's a lot of opportunity here. But if you were to tell me that at the end of this season he was a top 30 or so graded run defender at defensive tackle and maybe was top 10 in sacks at the position, would that blow you away or would that make you think that it's impossible? I don't think so. I also am really impressed with the fact that he came in as a rookie, coming off of all those concerns about the back injury, and played 17 games. And so if he can continue to be available and produce and be that kind of game-wrecking presence, that's everything that this defense has been chasing. Brandon Beane has been chasing for this defense for the last 8-9 years.
That is Matt Perino. And just to review the injury, and that's really what kind of knocked him down into the 4th round, it was the fact that you have a guy that, come to find out, why were his numbers down his junior year? He played with a fractured back. All right, if you can play through that, okay, number one, the guy likes football, right? And then you kind of look ahead, but you read some of the draft reviews now, and I think this about the draft. I think there are a handful of guys, including Chris Trapasso, who do their own research and put themselves out there. I think maybe 75% of that industry, I'm sorry, you're not doing the work yourself. You're coming up with a mock draft, reading everybody else's work. Did you go down to Mobile? Did you actually go to a college football game this year? Do you watch tape? Are you just looking at numbers? Like that's part of the problem too. And that's why sometimes there's this massive disconnect between the NFL and the draftnik community. No bigger example of that than Shedeur Sanders, right? Like, wait, I thought that guy was going number 2 overall. He went in the 5th round? What? That's the shining example of that. But for Deion Walker to go in round 4, all right, if you just say he was healthy his junior year, and maybe if he's on a bigger stage too, like if he's playing for Georgia or an LSU or an Alabama, he's in Kentucky. Yeah. What was around him in Kentucky? So that's where you really, really have to roll up your sleeves. So where we're critical of Brandon Beane for a lot of the things he's done with this team, and you look at the top of the draft, like A.J. Epineza, well, not exactly. There's been a lot of whiffs. Boogie Basham. I tend to agree with Matt that this is the biggest hit. Now, you say, well, what about Christian Benford? Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But does Christian Benford have the ability to be an all-pro? I'm talking all-pro. Like the star power for the Buffalo Bills beyond Josh Allen, it's James Cook, and we really, really like Deion Dawkins. But I'm talking about guys that, okay, this is somebody that years from now we're going to celebrate and put on the wall. Maybe they go into the Hall of Fame. I think you can get excited. It's fine. I'm not telling you to temper your expectations. Hell, you shouldn't temper your expectations with the Buffalo Bills. There are 5 teams in NFL history that have won 11 or more games 6 consecutive years. New England, Kansas City, the Peyton Manning Colts, and then Tom Landry and Roger Staubach and the Dallas Cowboys. 4 teams I just rattled off. It made at least one Super Bowl. 3 of those 4 actually won the thing. And then here's this outlier, the Buffalo Bills. So that's why when I say no coach has ever come in with more pressure on him than Joe Brady, it's fine now. Everything is awesome in every camp. The sun is out, and we're all looking at the best case scenario. That's how we view things as football fans, right? But then a little adversity hits, and then what happens? I'm going to stand by my take. I think the Bills, to start November, are a 500 team. How is that possible, Gene? 500? Well, if they don't get the Houston opener, and then you have 3 straight home games against quality opponents. Detroit, championship-level team from 2 years ago, made the NFC Championship. Chargers playoff team from last year. Patriots divisional champs from last year. Are you going to get all 3? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say you get 2 or 3. And then you're not going to get the Rams. You get the Raiders. Well, congratulations. After the bye, you're playing the Baltimore Ravens, and you're trying to stay above 500 in that game. When you lay it out like that, it's like, oh, yeah, the beginning of the schedule is kind of rough. Now, you get the Houston game, and all of a sudden the sky's clear a little bit. But I'm racking my brain to think of the time that I was overly critical of Joe Brady. I don't recall that. I recall a caller, Luke, just laying him out. But you're always welcome to join the show. I try to make myself very accessible. I try to respond to your tweets and everything after hours because we do appreciate it. I always feel like, you know what, our show is the underdog here. It really is when it comes to the landscape, okay? We're not Buffalo, right? There's that other station there, right? And I do RIT hockey with DeTulio. He does a great job. We're the underdog here. That's the way I kind of look at it. So we're always trying to have that one-on-one connection with you. So when somebody calls in and leaves me this voicemail, I just kind of pause and think, all right, what did I actually say here? But then I'm thinking, are we being put on? You be the judge here of this. This came in after hours last night.
Yeah, it's a message for Jean. Jean, my name is Tammy. I'm calling from Greece, and I've been listening to your show going all the way back to the days with Danger. And let me just say, I understand why you had Danger on that whole time. Because you doing this show yourself, I am so sick and tired of you being critical on this Bills Stadium issue. It's beautiful. It's what we deserve. And can you give Joe Brady a little bit of rope here? He just started. I am so tired of you being so critical of this Bills team, and I think you just lost yourself a listener.
I don't even think you've been critical.
Right. I'm like, what? What? I'm not the pom-pom show. Okay.
And also, sorry for telling the truth.
All right, so there is one tell in there. Okay, she says she's from Greece. Didn't leave a phone number, by the way. And I'm not going to, go, crazy and Google, GPT. Give me Bills fans named Tammy in Greece. I'm not going to do that. And Tammy, you took time out of your day, and I thank you on that. She's from downstate. You listen back to that carefully, and I picked that up. Or she's just putting on an accent, which leads me to think, okay, wait a second. Is this is this one of my college friends actually busting my chops? But then again, that they'd really have to go out of their way to have one of their friends call in and hit the beats like that because, all right, yeah, you hit on the stadium issue. And have I been critical at the stadium? Yeah, I'd like to think we've looked at both sides here. That I think Legends did a poor job in their sales. They didn't disclose everything. From what I know, the Bills are trying to make it right for everybody. Is it embarrassing on a national level? You betcha. I don't want the talk about the Bills to be like this. Oh, by the way, the grass field sucks. Are you kidding? We just got done with a World Cup.
You're going to lose more than Tammy now.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to lose more than Tammy. All right, so Tim, is that a real call or is that a troll call?
I'm going to go with a troll call, but I can't confirm it because she listened. She said something about what we've talked about. And again, I get that segment every day. You don't always have to agree with me, but it's my take. It's your take.
Oh, and then, to get the little dig in there, like, oh, you miss Danger. Okay. He's right upstairs. That's fine. He's recused himself from being on air. And I don't want to hide from that fact, right? I mean, you made an investment over the years in the show. So that's why I was like, okay, this is somewhere along the lines, it's personal. And I've had people call me off air and say, no, you got this wrong. And I try to make it right. We don't, not out to ruin anybody. But if I'm going to give you an opinion on the Bills, I don't work for the Bills. And right now with the stadium, multiple things are true. It's a fantastic facility. The field sucks. The field is going to get roasted. Pete Coelho, by the way, come on, Pete. Well, the grass needs time to grow. Oh, okay. How did they put a field in Fisher in June? Because I didn't see any divots kicking up there at the Policini Track and Field Complex in June. That's going to be an issue because when the Steelers come in, now they're going to be asked about it. And the Florios of the world, everybody is going to be banging the drum. And it's going to be like, well, they didn't quite get things right in Buffalo when it comes to the obstructed view. And now the field and blah, 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 blah. Well, thank you, Tammy, for I'm sorry. Well, I can't even thank her. She says she's not listening anymore. But then if she asked for me to give her a call, funny thing is, Tim, I bet she's listening.
Oh yeah,
I mean, that's like,
people say
that
no, but
they don't.
they're locked in.
They're locked in. But that's the one where I'm trying. Anybody that can figure this out. Where did I go overboard on criticizing Joe Brady? Other than stating the obvious, that I don't think there's been an NFL head coach in our time that's had as much pressure on him than Joe Brady. What, by speaking this into existence? I think that's a fact. It's a fact. I'm not setting him up to fail. Just pointing it out that this job comes. Maybe it was this yesterday, Tim, where I was just saying, hey, you had Clint Kubiak, Mike McCarthy. You're going over the whole list of guys you talked to. And at the end of it, with Josh Allen sitting in there the whole time, you go back to the guy that you knew all along. And Josh likes and his buddies with.
If that's offensive enough to lose a listener.
Well, then, yeah. Then I'm, look,
Jordan Poyer was far more critical about the grass field than you were.
Yeah, everybody. No, it was actually Micah Hyde.
No, Jordan Poyer did it today.
Oh, I missed this.
I have it right here if you want to hear it.
Absolutely. Please give that to me. Where did he speak?
It was on CBS something, some morning show today.
Okay.
Obviously, I do think that it's fair for the fans to be concerned and to be vocal about what's going on with their seats. These fans pay hard-earned money to go to these games to support the team that they love. These Buffalo Bills fans are passionate about the game of football, and so I know I would be pissed if I spent X amount of money and I come to my seat and I see that I can only see half of the field. So I think that is a topic to be brought up.
All right, stop. So like George, like are you seeing like half the field? Like that's where it's like, okay, now it's kind of the game of telephone there. And again, not at the pom-pom show, but somebody that, again, tell me I'm wrong on this. If you are not happy with your seats, did the Bills not say, let's move you? Personally, Tim, I'd rather be on top. I think I would like just being on top and having that coach's eye view. I mean, that's where I'm sitting in the press box. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. We got to get to Dr. Charlie Schumann. What's going on with Keon Coleman? We'll ask him that question and some other Bills-related injury updates. You are welcome to join us at 585-866-4326. Our handle on X is at WGR Rochester. My name is Gene Battaglia. One less listener today here on the Sports Leader.
Odyssey is an equal opportunity employer.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
Travel day today for the Buffalo Bills. Joint practice with the Browns taking place tomorrow in Ohio. Defensive coordinator Jim Leonhard says this is not the time to display everything.
Obviously, this coach is a pretty tight-knit community, and a lot of guys know people, so there's certain things that even with it being a practice setting might not put on tape, but at the same time, you will do a little bit more in that setting than you would in the preseason when you know all teams' eyes are on it.
We'll discuss some of these Bills injuries with Dr. Charlie Schumann coming up next here in the Sports Bar. Rochester Red Wings won the opener at Omaha last night. Same two teams out Midwest tonight. On the Major League scoreboard, Mets take the series from the Padres 4-2. Paul Skeens only lasted 81 pitches today. Still, the Pirates over the Tigers 4-3. Red Sox are up on Arizona 1-0. They're in the second. Gene Battaglia, WGR Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
I love talking to Charlie Schumann because somebody who played the game at a high level and he knows his stuff. I feel like I'm smarter. Try to make us smarter football fans talking to Charlie about some of these issues around the sporting world and mainly the Bills. Charlie, always appreciate you carving out a few minutes here, Charlie, with Lattimore Physical Therapy. And little bit of a surprise. Let's start with Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman in a walking boot. Before we get to what does this mean, perhaps, how would you describe the purpose of a walking boot, Charlie?
Yeah, well, appreciate you having me on again, that you guys keep having me back. So it's been fun to do this. But right into Keon is it's interesting. I didn't see anything come up from the practice, but typically a walking boot is you're protecting and offloading the foot and ankle to whether it's a sprain, a fracture, anything like that, is just to give that foot complex some rest. It would have to be something that's enough that they want to offload it and just give it some rest from walking around normally. But I'd be interested to know exactly what's going on, whether it's a foot, toe, that whole deal.
Yeah, I mean, Cameron Wolf of ESPN, and mind you, Joe Brady is not really disclosing anything. He doesn't have to. It's the preseason. So the information about these injuries, we really don't have it, other than this national report where Wolf describes it as a foot/toe. I want to focus on the toe part of this. And again, this comes under the umbrella of generally speaking because we don't have any inside intel. But when I hear toe, I'm okay. What are we describing here? Like if it is a toe sprain, let's say, for example, and Charlie, you've taught us about the different degrees of sprains and how that is a big thing. How would you describe like the different degrees of a toe sprain in theory here?
Yeah, typically what a toe sprain realistically is and what you expect, especially if it's your big toe, is that turf toe that you hear about very often. So it's something that can linger around. It is it's a frustrating injury to have because it can linger pretty good, but often guys can play through it. Keon being in an explosive position, an explosive athlete that needs that first step get off, especially at receiver, to create speed and get out of his breaks, it's a little bit more of a concern. It just, again, it depends on the severity of it. They may be going super cautious just to give that ligament time to heal if it is a turf toe. But typically what you'll see with a turf toe injury is we call it forced hyperextension of that big toe. So they land with their toe in the ground and they just really force that big toe up. And that's where you'll get some of that ligament injury. It could be something that lingers throughout the whole season that he has to deal with, and there are different opportunities for us to tape that toe so that it limits the extension and makes it playable. It just depends again.
I remember this is going way back. Bills had a running back, Antoine Smith, who later go to the Patriots, and he was with the Bills. And I'm a young reporter at the time, and I asked him, "Well, turf toe. What's that like? And he looks at me, Charlie, and says, it hurts like hell. That is like the one injury that you wouldn't think your toe could just be so much in pain. And again, we don't know this to be true with Keon Coleman, but that's one injury that whenever I hear something like that, I'm always a little concerned.
It is a turf toe. I had a little bit of turf toe when I was in college one time, and it's miserable. It just lingers. It never goes away.
That's terrible. Charlie Schumann, Landworth Physical Therapy, former Penn State Nittany Lion. Another Bills. I don't necessarily think this is an injury, but a lot of people pointing out that Jalen Kilgore, who didn't practice on Tuesday, was seen wearing a sleeve on his left leg. The sleeve. What is the purpose of the sleeve provide? And kind of looking at that, what are the what might he be dealing with here?
Yeah, typically the sleeve is used. It's a compression sleeve, so it just gives a little bit extra to help with blood flow throughout the leg, swelling, inflammation. A lot of guys will use it just as a recovery tool. Typically, you'd see it in like a mild strain, some swelling control, or just in the game, maybe he got a calf, quad, hamstring bruise from taking a hit to the thigh. It could be something as simple as that. So they're giving him a day to let that heal, and using the leg sleeve as something to just promote that healing. But given that he was out there moving around on the sideline a little bit, that is nothing. That is something that, is encouraging. But the leg sleeve, it could be nothing. It could be something that's a mild strain that we're dealing with, and he's got to get back from that. But it'll be interesting to see when he goes out in joint practice this week, if he's out there or he's still taking it easy.
Yeah, that would be. Honestly, I think he's done enough to make the team. But then, okay, is he going to be healthy week one? A lot of these injuries don't seem to be major. But we have this other storyline, Charlie, I want to just kind of get your opinion about. We went from, when it comes to the stadium, hey, we're talking about obstructed views, and now we're talking about the field itself. And the early reviews of the Bills-Gratz field, let's just say it, these reviews are not great. What are your thoughts on what we're hearing and seeing and observing on this field so far, Charlie?
Yeah, the stadium itself has taken a critical lens to its opening few weeks, given how much people loved the Highmark Stadium of past. But yeah, it's one of those things. As they're growing new grass, it's a fairly new field, so it takes time for the root system to grow. But it is a concern. You're playing in the NFL, and we hear all of what they talk about with playing on turf versus grass. But this is where teams struggle to keep up with a grass field. It's a lot more maintenance. It takes longer to fix divots. You have to worry about making and fixing divots. Growing grass in a climate like Western New York consistently throughout the season. So it's something to watch as the season goes on, but it is a concern that it's not in great shape for player health. It's the same thing on turf is, when you don't have as steady a ground below you, it allows things to shift in the body that could cause an increased risk for injury. But I think the grass system as we go here in August, they have a really good turf management, a turf person in Buffalo, so I'm confident he'll have things ready to go for the season. But it is something to watch as the season gets closer and how those guys respond on that grass.
Charlie, you played obviously on both grass and turf. Did you have a preference?
I can't say I had a huge preference. We had a great turf management program at Penn State, and they did all of our fields. So we played on grass at Penn State, but there were some of those September games where it rained for 3 days before the game, and you'd have guys fall, and there was a 3-inch hole where their knee landed. Turf is just easier to manage. It's easier to have a consistent playing surface week over week because you're not dealing with, weather. Clearing a snowy field in turf is a lot easier than on grass. And keeping it at a consistent length and a consistent surface is a lot easier with a turf field because it's only concrete. You're not actually keeping anything alive. So that's where grass is more expensive to maintain, and you have more variability week to week based on what the weather's doing.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that in Section 5, and I get it, I believe that Spencerport is the only program in Section 5, Charlie, that still has grass. Is somebody but all
it's
these,
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, but there is, like you said, there is a cost to it, and when you see that, the benefit, it's hard to go against it. Charlie Schumann from Lattimore Physical Therapy, our guest here. I want to quiz you on a couple other things, injuries in the sports world. So for the Jets, we're not expecting anything from the Jets this year, but fantasy-wise, a lot of people might be interested in Breece Hall. He goes down Monday, non-contact, which you hear that, the original report, like, oh, no, that's bad. Well, it's not as bad as they feared. It's a groin injury. They're saying 2 to 3 weeks he'll be out. Charlie, how careful do you have to be with a groin injury so that does not become a nagging issue throughout the season?
Especially in the preseason, you want to take your time with it. He's obviously not fighting for a spot on the team. He's got his spot with the Jets locked up. So it's going to be, again, a lot of what we've talked about is the return to sport testing, making sure that groin is ready to go because they are notorious for lingering, especially when an athlete returns before they're 100%. They do have that consistent theme of popping back up as you get going. So given that we have, 3 weeks now until the opening? I think 3 weeks tomorrow is before the opening game. They have time to get him fully back. And even if he misses that first week or second week, to get him fully back for the Jets to, I don't want to say this, make a run, but that's what they're thinking. For them to make a run, they want him back at 100%.
I think they should make a run the other way, like sit him and draft a quarterback and lose. But I don't think that's. I don't think they would come out and say that. Charlie, last one for you. We've discussed Aaron Judge here over the last few weeks, and now we have the update. He's been cleared to take swings. What would you think these next 2 weeks are like? If you're his physical therapist and you're part of that team, how are you ramping up Aaron Judge to make sure there aren't any setbacks and he can get back to doing the things that he needs to do here for the Yankees?
Yeah, it's tough, especially with how long he's been out and how much he's had time to rest is great. But at the end of the day, he's got to come back and swing at a high level repeatedly, and that's where those stress injuries kind of come back at you if you don't take the time to work yourself back. So he's going to start with, my idea would be he's going to start with some tee work, some soft toss, then he'll get into some live batting practice, possibly some simulated at bats, and then he'll go back on that rehab assignment. Would be my thought process behind it. How fast he ramps that up is just going to be based on how his body responds. But you could see him back by the end of August, given we're end of August, beginning of September is a realistic timeline to see him back. But I would bet we're looking more towards the end of that first week in September, given everything goes as planned in his rehab assignment.
Charlie Schumann, Lattimore Physical Therapy, and for folks who need a physical therapist, but you know what? They want to talk a little Penn State football or Buffalo Bills football. Charlie, you're available, correct?
Absolutely. We always talk Penn State and Bills football in the office. It's probably till we're blue in the face.
Now, you're not going to be one of these guys if Penn State loses that it's going to put you in a foul mood on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, or is that just kind of par for the course? You're still connected to that program.
No, I'm still connected, but I don't get too many foul moves. That was pretty sad last year after we lost to Oregon, though.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the UCLA game. Like the UCLA game to me is like, come on, you can't go out there and then. I mean, was that the one that got Franklin fired, or what was the final one? Did you say, all right, then it's time for a change here?
I think the writing was on the wall after the Oregon game, and I think that's where you saw everyone kind of dip. Everything went downhill for UCLA and Northwestern. But that Oregon game, man, it was heartbreaking. I was there. It was heartbreaking because as easily as they lost in overtime, they could have won. They could have gone undefeated, gone to the playoff. Franklin's still at Penn State. It's crazy that one game kind of changed the whole trajectory and the momentum of their season. And that's how it goes in sports. That's why we can talk about it all week. But at the end of the day, they play the game on Saturdays and Sundays.
That's it. Charlie, thank you for the insight. Let's do this again next week. Have yourself a great week, bud.
Absolutely. You too. Thanks, man.
Thanks. Charlie Schumann, who played at Penn State, now right in the office of Lattimore Physical Therapy. So that's quite some insight we have there. It's interesting. He brings up a point, though, and that's why we love sports. I guess it's kind of a life thing. Like, what do they call it? The butterfly effect? They do one little thing, and it's going to lead to all these other things. And, how? We live that existence as a Buffalo fan, right? What if there weren't a no goal? What if Norwood makes the kick? What if? What if Sean McDermott doesn't have his head up those butt in 13 seconds? Come on, I can have some fun with it. I don't want another angry.
You're being too critical.
I don't want another angry call there from Tammy from downstate. She says Greece. I'm like, no, you're not from Greece. You're from downstate. Tim's terrible take. That'll be coming up where, are you ready to step it up today?
We'll see. I think that I've got a decent one today. I think I've been stepping it up. Maybe I'm wrong.
Which is funny. And
That's your opinion,
I
man.
cannot. How people are taking to Tim. We can't mention any of this now because the deal is not done.
Sure.
But if you could believe this, the first, you want us to endorse product, well, I'd love to do that for you. But there's a whole process. And why is there a process? Well, we're on FCC airwaves, and the F stands for federal, and we got to go through those, right? We got to go by federal guidelines, right? So we had a local business reach out asking if that would you be willing to endorse my product? They didn't ask me. They asked Tim. They asked Tim, Terrible Time Timmy, to be their endorser. And, okay, this is going to go through the process and everything else, and maybe it comes to fruition, and I hope it does, and I'm flattered that this business listens to the sports bar. And I can't give you the context of this either because, again, I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I mentioned this to Tim off air. He's like, oh, yeah, I'd be down for that. But what does that say? Like, what am I – wait a second. I'm getting hate calls, and you are the beloved man here on the show where you're getting the endorsement opportunities.
One of them.
One of them. You're a man of the people.
Yeah, the common man, they say.
Common man.
I dressed myself today. You didn't even say anything about this collar I've got on.
I know. Well, you're not in your softball, but I'm a little more disturbed by the 76ers hat. What the? You can't wear that ass in here.
So the story on this one is a valued listener of the show heard that I was now a 76ers fan because of the LeBron James signing, and I got a hat and a shirt from a listener.
From a listener?
Yeah, I'm killing it, man.
Female listener?
Yeah, my mom.
Oh. You had me there for a second. That would have been a story, too. Like, Terrible Time Timmy is using the sports bar as a gateway to pick up the ladies. We will all live vicariously through Terrible Time Timmy, getting endorsements, going on dates, winning at softball. Did you win last night or lose?
Do you know we got throttled as the one seed,
dude.
17-4. It's a whole bunch of suck Monday and Tuesday for me.
That's
second place trophy galore.
There's no such thing as a second place trophy. You realize that.
Yeah,
right?
silver medal, but I'm not an Olympian, so
yeah,
just a loser.
3T coming up next. Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day. We will have time for your calls coming up in happy hour as well at 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia here, WGR Rochester.
Rochester. Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
I'm always about trying to evolve the show and make it better because we want to entertain you, inform you, do all that. So you say, yeah, like, all right, I got choices in the afternoon. I want to listen to these guys. I'm just kicking this around in my head, Tim, that I love when you come on with a terrible take, Timmy, because it's either going to be something like that's so off the mark, that's dumb, or it's actually, and it's happened a few times, like, I hadn't thought of that. And it's not going to work today because, Dan DeLorean is not here. His Dan in the woods. Like how, people come back for vacation. Hey, here are my pictures. Like, what will it be? Like Dan sitting by the campfire, and here he is hiking, and there he is sitting by the campfire. Here's me, like, looking at a mountain. Like that's Dan in the Adirondacks, and everybody has their happy place, and clearly that's his. And somehow he milked 2.5 weeks. I thought it was only a week and a half. He's like, no, we got another week. I'm like, oh, okay, so Francesco's doing a good job, right? But he had a skedaddle. He's off to one of our other stations, Grappa. So it's just me and you. So we're okay today. But what if, like, whether it's Dan DeLorean and Francesco, I have my take, and then you have your take, and then we have an arbitrator that says, okay, who came in with a better take?
I think that you're going to win that more often than not.
Well,
yeah, it's a fun idea. But
the show has my name on it, so I want to win it, and
Sure.
I need that validation, Tim. I'm kidding.
I think that as we've seen in the past when we've had a split between the two of us, Dan opts out and keeps it a tie.
That's not going to work. You're saying,
So
Dan is Switzerland.
like,
he's not going to.
He's not gonna poo-poo either of us. He's gonna say both takes were great, and he's not gonna choose a favorite, or he's gonna say both takes were bad and walk out of the room and just carry on about his day.
That's okay. So
we could
there
try
we
it
go.
with Francesco
All right.
sometime this week.
All right, we could try it, but to your point, though, maybe it's not, because I have this other bonus take, right? Bonus take is there is nothing in sports right now that is as dumb and lazy as the position player coming in Major League Baseball. Can we put an end to this? How much is your payroll? And you really have to conserve that long reliever who is the 10th player on your pitching staff? Stop. How did we get so soft? Do you realize how bad and dumb the product looks when you have guys going up there and throwing lollipops? It's a joke. And what happened last night in Milwaukee, a joke on multiple levels. I don't know the name of the middle infielder or the third baseman for Seattle, nor do I care. Rivas or something?
Yeah, it was
don't care. He comes in, he has no business being on the mound. So what happens? He gives up 9 runs, Tim. 9 runs. And 22-0 ended up being the final Milwaukee. And the headline is, ties for the biggest shutout margin of victory ever in Major League Baseball history. Really? Because you had not a pitcher on the mound. Hell, I would give a better effort than just kind of throwing up things. But here's another part of that. What happens is everybody mentally checks out. Your superstar center fielder, J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez, catches a fly ball. End of inning. Okay, I'm going to throw the ball over. Oops, it wasn't the end of the inning. So what happens? Well, the runners get an extra base because the player threw the ball out of play intentionally. And so 3 runs end up scoring that shouldn't have. The whole idea is dumb. And maybe this is fresh in my mind because 2 weekends ago, I went to Pittsburgh. Okay, great. Love the stadium, get to see my favorite team. Oh, great. The score is it's 9-0 here, Pirates. Oh, let's bring in the position player for the Mets. Okay, and then Brandon Lowe knocks that out of the park. Everybody, yay, fireworks going. Like, this is not baseball. Same thing happens the next day. The Mets are up 11-1, and we're going to bring in the position player. Stop. If you are waving the white flag, why should I, the fan, continue to watch this? You're saying you've already lost. Then you know what?
Walk off the field, say we quit. There's nothing else in sports like this that says we're done competing. You could say the NFL, I suppose, when you're down by how many and you're putting in the backup quarterback, but if you're down by 10 runs, there's no clock in baseball. There's a pitching clock, but honestly, it's built and designed maybe, except when you get this. Okay, I feel better. That's off my chest. But somebody out there must love the position players. I think it's an embarrassment. It's a joke. And you know what, to Major League pitchers, man up. Be a man. Get out there. I don't want to hear my arm is sore, my elbow sore, or analytics and blah, blah, blah. You get asked to pitch the damn ball.
You've got 12 pitchers on your roster. 8 of them are available any given day, and you can't trot one guy out there just to get shellacked. You've got to have the anti-Ohtani. This guy is batting 130, and his ERA is 63. It's the anti-Ohtani.
Right. It's an embarrassment, and there's nothing else like this in sport. Again, in football, there's 5 minutes to go, and you're down by 5 touchdowns, or you're up by 5 touchdowns. You're bringing in the backup quarterback. I suppose anything, but like, you're not playing players out of position purposely. All right. So, Tim, now that I've said my piece, we hand the keys over, ladies and gentlemen, to Tim.
It's now time for Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day on WGR Rochester. WGR Rochester. It's Terrible Time Timmy.
I will say it's cool when backup catcher from Cleveland strikes out outfielder from Mets on 3 pitches, which happened earlier this year. Also Robert Jr.
And then backup catcher for Mets gets needs just 4 pitches to get out of the inning, and then it becomes this little cutesy story.
Yeah, that's when it's fun to talk about. But when it happens like it did last night, like, what are we doing? Just send an actual player that plays that position, get through it, and call it a day. My take here is actually kind of a counter take to what you had last week on your hate or disdain for the Field of Dream games. It turns out that my take is inaccurate because the Netflix numbers came out today, and it was 1.6 million viewers, which is half of what they got the previous time they did this, and almost 3 times less than the first time they did it, where it was the most watched game of the season.
Yep.
My point here is in the same vein, or the other opposite vein, I guess. Yesterday it came out that the Indiana Fever and Atlanta Dream had the highest rated WNBA regular season game ever. And I guess my point here is, when the ratings are being looked at like this, does it really actually matter? Because I know in the heart of hearts, 90% of sports fans prefer baseball to the WNBA. And what are we pushing these ratings numbers for if the fandom doesn't really change?
Well, I think the flaw, and it's not the flaw, and what you're saying is accurate, 100%. But what I'm saying, like with the flaw, anybody's pointing, okay, we're over the Field of Dream games. Look at the numbers. Okay, what you begin with. On Netflix, you're not putting it in anyone's path. Like, unless you're kind of like going to Netflix specifically that night. But if you're going to Netflix, it's like, hey, hon, what do you want to watch? You're like, right? It's like, what's on? So there is still cachet to being on network and ESPN, as opposed to the streaming device that, quite honestly, not everybody has. See what happens next year, because the game will be on NBC. Oh, who the hell am I kidding? Ain't gonna be no baseball next year.
You're right about that too. But yeah, if it will be interesting to compare the Netflix to the NBC. But again, when we do these ratings things, what is MLB trying to sell by putting it on Netflix? Is that a mistake on their end, or is it a mistake on us for not caring enough, even though
I think it's interesting you brought in the WNBA, because this is one of those where ESPN is going out of their way to promote the WNBA after they couldn't come into agreement with Major League Baseball. And heck, we're guilty of this too. Every sports media organization, you're going to promote whatever it is you have. And since we're so reliant still on ESPN, ESPN.com, there are days where I'll go to ESPN.com and they'll give you like the 7 headlines on the side, and maybe half of them will be WNBA before we get to the first baseball. And half of them, the WNBA, it'll be like Sophie Cunningham and things I don't care about. And, hey, here's another issue not related to basketball that I don't care about. But they've done the research, Tim, and the things that I don't care about as a sports fan, you don't care about as a sports fan. Hey, they know, hey, Flames, controversy, let's fan them a little bit. I thought you were going to go with McAfee going to be on Monday Night Countdown.
Well, I didn't want to double take for my take yesterday, but it is interesting that I have that yesterday and then this afternoon. Hey, look at this famous guy that's everywhere. He's going to be somewhere else too.
Well, it's almost like I said yesterday. I'm like, okay, well, hey, Pat, you're on midday. Can you do better? Oh, we're going to put him on Monday Night Countdown. Fantastic.
We're going to put him everywhere. He's got College Game Day. He's got Monday Night Countdown. He's got his own show 5 days a week.
That's, You're like, he has that dope AJ Hawk on. What is his purpose?
To stand there with a strong jawline.
That's
Sit
it.
there with a strong jawline.
It's right? Like, does AJ understand, like, you got to open your mouth sometimes? Or is that you're just purposely doing this to become a meme and go viral? Happy hour is here. We blew right through the stop sign. Yeah. So we have to take a quick break. Sorry, we have to pay some bills. But we will be right back. Your call's welcome. 585. We have some reaction to our Hey call as well. We'll get to that as well. 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia here, WGR Rochester.
sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. WGR Rochester. Sports Update.
Travel day for the Buffalo Bills. Joint practice with the Cleveland Browns taking place in Ohio tomorrow. And then the game on Saturday. Defensive coordinator Jim Leonard says, no, he won't be on the sidelines this Saturday.
I'm actually going to go up this week and do the opposite here, flip in Cleveland and see how that feels. I've primarily been on the sideline my whole career, but at the same time, it might be right for me to go up and have that vantage point and be able to see it from there. So going to feel out both sides here in the preseason and then make the decision.
Game number 2 for the Red Wings in Omaha. They took the opener there last night. Major League scoreboard, the Mets take 2 of 3 from the Padres to win this series. 4-2 was the final. Twins holding off the Braves 6 for the final. Cubs fall to the White Sox 3-0. Red Sox are up on the Diamondbacks 2-0. Pirates over the Tigers 4-3. Gene Battaglia, WGR Rochester.
Pull up a chair, stay for a while. You're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coat, get sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have takes much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres, Bills, Americans, Red Wings, and Nighthawks. Sports bar for Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2. Thank you for joining us here on this Wednesday afternoon where the sun is out. Hopefully you're having a safe drive home. And thank you for making us part of your day. 585-866-4326. That is the phone number. Gene Battaglia with Tim Schneider. Dan DeLorean somewhere in the Adirondacks. I don't know if it's, what is it, Big Bear or Big Tree, whatever it is up there. He'll be back next week. And our guy Francesco had to scoot out because, like me and like you, Tim, we all do multiple things. Sometimes they kind of cross paths. Fun show we've had so far. Dr. Charlie Schumann talking about some of these Bills injuries. And, you know, he brought a different perspective. He actually, when it comes to the grass versus turf debate, you have to acknowledge that, like, the lowest level being, hey, high school, it costs a lot to maintain the grass. So, and Charlie also pointing out, hey, when I played on grass and it rained a lot, yeah, you would get those huge divots. And maybe we had such a wet spring/summer. I don't know the reason, but the Bills have to figure this out because it's one thing for you, the fan, and again, it's only a handful of people, but it made a lot of noise, right, about the seats. It's going to be completely different if an opposing team comes in and this is the worst field I've ever been. If we get quotes like that, and maybe they'll toe the line because this is what the Players Association wants. You want grass. They all want grass. Well, you want grass, but you want it done right. So I'm hoping you bring in an expert, you figure this out, do whatever you have to do to make that field looking good. Make it has to be harder. It cannot be that soft. No way, no how. 585-866-4326. That is our number. You can reach us on X, our handle at WGR Rochester. As also leaving a comment on YouTube was Chris. When I was talking about how, terrible take Timmy. You would think, like the first endorsement opportunity in, I don't know, do we call this Sports Bar 3.0? Now we're back in our home, but it's me and you. It's going toward Timmy. Now, this isn't a done deal yet. I can't talk about this, but say this happens and all of a sudden you hear, hi, I'm Tim Schneider, and this is why I recommend 2 weeks from now. We'd be like, what the heck? I like, yeah, okay. Like, Tim, I'm happy. And Chris writing in, yes, Gene, you're big-time Gene, and Tim is man of the people.
I love it. I've had interactions like on the previous show when I was doing stuff with CMF a lot with the break room. People would interact with me. Duffy would get, I think, legitimately angry that people were talking to me instead of him, and perhaps that's carried over here.
Yeah, Greg writing in, new goals unlocked, leaving your show voicemail messages with false information. Okay, this goes back to the voicemail that I received after hours that didn't leave a number. And this voicemails are rare now. Like, normally it'd be somebody writing in or tweeting in, And I think we're accessible. But the thing that bothers me here, if you just said, hey, I don't like your show. Your show isn't good. I prefer – look, that's your opinion. But when you come at me with, I don't like your show because – and then all these things that you're throwing in there, which just basically aren't true. Chris writing in, I think you've been fair about the issues with the new stadium. I think you've also been, let's just wait and see what Brady does. If anything, I say you've been cautiously optimistic while also being real about actual issues. The thing I said about Joe Brady yesterday on the show was this. There hasn't been a head coach ever, who has had as much pressure as Joe Brady right now. What about George Seifert? Hey, they already won a Super Bowl there. Barry Switzer comes in. They already won Super Bowls in Dallas. This is a team that is past due when it comes to winning a championship, much less even reaching the Super Bowl. And I think it's accurate. I don't think it's hot takey to say that Joe Brady has an immense amount of pressure on him. I don't think it's hot takey also to say, did the Bills get it right? Can we question that having Josh Allen right involved in the interview process, and if he does have the relationship with Joe Brady, did that sway ultimately Terry Pegula and Pete Guelli to say, Joe, you're our guy? Is this going to be what's best for Josh? And again, all along I've said, I'm pointing this out. It doesn't make me a Brady hater, but sometimes Bills fans hear what they want to hear. You have to listen. I shouldn't get upset about this, but this was a call I got last night that it just gets under my skin.
Yeah, it's a message for Gene. Gene, my name is Tammy. I'm calling from Greece, and I've been listening to your show going all the way back to the Days with Danger. And let me just say, I understand why you had danger on that whole time, because you doing this show yourself, I am so sick and tired of you being critical on this Bills Stadium issue. It's beautiful. It's what we deserve. And can you give Joe Brady a little bit of rope here? He just started. I am so tired of you being so critical of this Bills team. And I think you just lost yourself a listener.
Okay.
Oh, see you later.
All right. Look, sorry. There's something that, honestly, I offended you that much. I can't even own up to that, Tim. It's like, what did I say that really, that is somebody right now that loves the Bills so much. But then, there's a couple tells, though. Tell number one, that's not a Rochester accent. That's a New York accent.
Could be a transplant, though.
It could be, but it's, if she's saying she's from Greece, okay, then part of me is thinking, all right, this is one of my college buddies trolling me. But that's going way out of your way because she's hitting all the bullet points, right? Like somebody would really, really have to get that down. So I don't think that's a troll, but I can't rule it out. That's why Greg wrote in, hey, here's a new idea. Leave a generic voicemail. The funny thing is, like the generic voicemail, if you leave it here at the Odyssey Studios, it gets served up in the format when you're recording on your phone, and it goes right to your email. So it came to me last night. I'm like, you're kidding. Anyhow, I'm not going to let that ruin my day. And
Are you sure?
No, it's dude. And then you're like, oh, that was the executive producer. No, that's not. Julie doesn't talk like that. I'm sorry, that's not her on that. So. Tammy, I don't know what I did to offend you. I'm hoping we're going to have opportunities to take the show out. We're working on things here behind the scenes because it was a lot of fun last year and previous years. I can tell you for certain we're going to be out at some Amherst games. Oh, quick Amherst note, they put out the promotional schedule. There is one change. And if anybody's an Amherst fan, I'd be curious to get your thoughts on this because to me, springtime – Sunday afternoon, and you know what? The Bills season has ended, but it's fun to bring that back out. And now you're getting ready for the new season with free agency and the draft and everything. It always kind of hit for me on that. It's not going to be in March this year. They moved the Bills Day game to Sunday, December 27th against Syracuse. Sunday against the NFL? Well, one thing, remember the Bills don't play on that Sunday.
Right.
They play on Christmas Day, which is on a Friday this year, number one. Number two, the thing with the Bills Day, okay, we're going to wear the, the Bills-ish looking uniforms, but because of copyright laws in the NFL, they really can't go the full distance on it. But we'll play the shout song. If you're going to have this game on a holiday Sunday, by holiday Sunday, it's holiday week. All right. I would expect 10,000 there. And will there be someone actually representing the Bills? That's always been kind of the missing piece, right? Like over the years, I remember Fred Jackson came out and signed autographs. It's like how they do with the Red Wings. Like, hey, here's Thurman Thomas or whatever. But, and again, it's holiday week, and you don't know anybody's schedule, but maybe they're going to kick that up another notch. So I've got to call into the Amerks just to see. I don't know if they've ironed out everything, but you're doing that for a reason. If you're moving that to a date, Tim, that would already be a prime date. Christmas week, you're looking for things to do with the kids. It's a matinee.
That's a marquee game in a marquee spot with marquee potential for Bills players. They're not going to be practicing that day. It's a 2 days after a game that they're going to be traveling back from Denver for. They're probably going to have a couple days off. They got a long week now to prepare because it's a Friday game instead of a Sunday game.
Yeah, and then I know there's also some people that would say, to me, it's the Bills one, and then everything else NFL comes second. And I respect the heck out of you on that.
I have a Bills theory about who this guest may be that I cannot say on air, but I will tell it to you during this break because there's some puzzle pieces to connect here with stuff that has been announced recently through some of their sponsors.
Interesting.
Just an idea.
Just an idea. You're the producer for it. What game will you miss? Okay, would you rather go to the Amerks Bills Day game or the late afternoon game? San Francisco at Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City and Travis Kelce. No. Sorry. I think I'm choosing hockey maybe over that. I think Bills fans will be like, and maybe by that point that game won't mean anything. They'll have to flex. That day, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 7 games on a Sunday. This is going to be the apex of the NFL schedule, meaning games that are scheduled on different days. 1 game on Christmas Eve, 3 on Christmas Day. You've got the Monday night game in Detroit, Giants in Detroit, which leaves you only 7 other games. This is like this Sunday in the NFL, particularly when we get to all these television partners, we're going to get to a time where that'll be the norm. That'll be like you'll have 6, 7 games, even if the league expands, because you know what? We've got to find other TV windows and milk partners other way. 585-866-4326.
There are 4 games still without dates for that as well. So.
Okay.
So there could be a couple Saturdays. There'll probably be 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday.
Okay. Good to
9,
point out. Good to point out. Yeah, they're doing a little flex scheduling, I guess, as you would say. But so the Amerks schedule's out. I'm not counting down days until October. We can review some of the Bills notes as we get ready for tomorrow. Certainly, Bills and Browns. But one little note here. This coming out, and I had it here in a second, Tim, and of course I've lost it. But apparently, I've got it. Bills, Browns, you're just hoping good practice, no injuries, good competition, right? I'm speaking like football guy. Yeah, ones against ones. Yeah. And then you have this. This is from NFL reporter Calvin Watkins. Players and coaches are subject to discipline from the NFL for inappropriate conduct in a joint practice. Throwing punches, body slams, and throwing helmets were the highlights of Saints-Cowboys on Tuesday. It'll be interesting how the league handles it. Did they handle Aaron Donald throwing his helmet years ago at a Bengal? I remember that actually happened, thinking, oh, my God, what are we doing? Don't do that. It depends. But, could you see tempers flaring tomorrow? I don't know. It's not going to be all that hot. I think that also has like a part of the attitude when you're out there and it's just miserable and everything is rubbing you the wrong way. But you talk to some old timers, Tim, that, hey, I went to practice not at Fisher, at Fredonia. Yeah, those were the days where, okay, Guys are taking other things to get themselves ready, and I'll let you read between the lines on that. And you would see fights frequently. I mean, it was testosterone overload. So do I need any of that nonsense tomorrow? No. No, I don't. But it's possible.
He was not fined for the practice incident, but he was fined 9 other times in his career.
Okay.
So
we're talking about
nine
times. Our fact checker, Tim Schneider. 585-866-4326 is our number. Quick break. More next. My name is Gene Battaglia here on the Ride Home, WGR Rochester.
Travel day for the Bills today. They have the joint practice in Ohio tomorrow against the Browns. Defensive coordinator Jim Leonard says, tomorrow's not the time to display the full playbook.
Obviously, these coaches are a pretty tight-knit community, and a lot of guys know people, so there's certain things that even with it being a practice setting might not put on tape, but at the same time, you will do a little bit more in that setting than you would in the preseason when you know all teams' eyes are on it.
Rochester Red Wings won the opener last night in Omaha. Same two teams tonight in Nebraska. On the Major League scoreboard, the Mets win the series from the Padres today, taking it 4-2. Paul Skeens only won 81 pitches today. The Pirates still win 4-2 over the Tigers. Red Sox are up 2-1 on Arizona there in the fifth. Cubs shut out by the White Sox 3-0. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, WGR Rochester.
Raising the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
It's funny how, myself included, everybody is kind of an alert for the opener against the Houston Texans because you respect that defense. That's going to be a handful with those two guys coming off the edge. And this is a place where Josh Allen has not won. 0-3 down in Houston, Texas. Welcome back. 0-4, actually. Lost his rookie year, too. He got hurt in that game. Nate Peterman leads the team in the fourth quarter, comeback touchdown, and then he throws a pick six after that. 585-866-4326. Bring up the Texans because it's not good news from them today because a guy that probably would have been their wide receiver 3, not anybody I'm drafting in fantasy, but Jaden Higgins, young receiver, last year 428 yards and 3 touchdowns today, tore his ACL. So no bueno, and I'm not one that's going to say, oh, that's good for the Bills. No, a couple levels on that. One, you're never rooting for injury, right? 2, if Houston is smart, you're looking around the league. All right, who might be available? Diggs ended up in Washington, but there's other receivers. I don't think Tyreek Hill is in any shape to be had. Giants just cut Juju. I don't think Juju is gonna, he'll that might be the solution there. But could Houston actually end up with somebody else? It's funny, the back end of the Bills wide receiving core, it's okay. I could see Gonzo being on teams as wide receiver 5. And Trent Sherfield offers something on special teams. I've never been a fan of Mecole Hardman, but he's got a lot of things on his resume, including catching a touchdown that won the Super Bowl, literally. He didn't know that he won the Super Bowl, didn't even know the format. Wait, what do you mean? We won? Oh, great. So Texans with some wide receiver issues here today. I mentioned Paul Skeens in the update, and I don't want this too. Skeens today is line 4 1/3, 3 earned runs, walk 4 batters. Something's off.
They're going to set him down for Tommy John and then just boom the whole 2027 season.
Yeah.
The whole season's gone. Might as well do it.
Yeah, I wonder, Tim, to your point, because sometimes Masahiro Tanaka, that's the name that comes to mind. I'm no Dr. Charlie Schumann, but I remember Tanaka had an elbow issue one year, and he opted to get the plasma injection because that's one way you can handle it, where you've just got to manage the pain, but you could still pitch. I'm wondering, there are a lot of stories out there. If we see as soon as the season ends, guys opting for surgery that normally wouldn't, it's hard to tell, whether they would or wouldn't. But to your point, Tim, we could have a rash of these, knowing that we're not going to have baseball. The shining example that, and I was up in the Bills press box, and there are two gentlemen that were staff workers, and one was talking about one wasn't aware of what's going on in baseball with the labor situation, and the other was just telling, well, there's no salary cap, and fans are going to be squarely on the side of the owners on this one because there are teams that just don't compete. I'm thinking, I'm not so sure on that one. Sure, there's an imbalance. Sure, could you get it better? But is that a player problem that the Guardians, the Pirates, and all these teams don't spend to what they should?
what, a salary cap's going to fix that? How about you do the things, or you get owners that actually need to do this? Tim, this story about, we had a sense here in the sports bar, like, wait a second, why did why did the Lakers get sold right after? Oh, quick profit. A little bit more than that. I think this story is going to mushroom, and I think it's a major problem for baseball because the shining example of what's wrong with baseball, the LA Dodgers. Tim, I'm reading all this. At best, the Dodgers get sold. At worst, like, this guy gets indicted, and all of a sudden the Dodgers are in this proxy of, okay, who owns the team while this guy is in jail. So, again, this is I read a lot about this today, and I'm going to try to distill this down. So the guy's name is Mark Walter, and he's an investment guy, and essentially, let me just cut to the chase. Sounds like it's a big old shell game, meaning what the Dodgers did here by creating the Sportsnet LA and by having Walter's businesses, 5 businesses on the hook for insurance. You can kind of move it around. And again, this goes way over my head. But by funneling the money back and forth with your own network, this isn't like Yes or whatever. It kind of shelters you. The other part is that by putting out these massive deferred contracts that nobody checked the Dodgers on, 9 players into the 2040s, the Dodgers will owe
9 times
$1 billion. $1 billion. Now, the value of the dollar today is going to be greater than it is in 2040. It's kind of the way of the world, right? Like inflation and everything else. And the value of the Dodgers today won't be as great as it is, at least we think, right? But by doing all this and by having the network tied in that you own, it makes it nearly impossible for anybody just to say, yeah, I'm going to pay what you're worth, but then I'm going to also, be on the hook for the $1 billion there in the 2040s. This is what you need to know about this guy, Mark Walter. With this, it's not an indictment, but in order to satisfy creditors, he's got to come up with $20 billion, and he's got to liquidate. Now, you could say, okay, well, that can't be that tough, Gene. He just sold the Lakers for $12.5 billion. Well, he didn't own 100% of the Lakers, mind you. Okay, the Buss family, there were other investors. And like anything else, hey, you own a home, sure, but there's a mortgage on it. You own your car, but you still have a few years. When you net it all out, it's not $12 billion. It's a little under 7 in that neighborhood. And the report out of L.A. right now is that Walter is only 1/3 of the money for the $20 billion he owes by the end of the year. You better believe the Dodgers are on the block right now. And now I'm going to amend one of my takes. And one of my takes was this, that, all right, what are the Dodgers doing? They're just lollygagging, Kyle Tucker dropping fly balls. And my take was this, that they're bored, that they know they're in the postseason and they've got all these stars and there's only so much. Are you getting yourself up for the series in Colorado, for example? In one particular game, no, they didn't. And just relate this to your own personal experience, like when upper management or ownership, or you have stories like this, it becomes a distraction. It becomes a, hey, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for my family? And people have pointed out that Shohei Ohtani, if Mark Walter isn't the owner anymore, dude, he can opt out. Still be owed the money in the year 2040 or whatever, who for the new sucker, I mean the new owner of the LA Dodgers who buys the team but is going to be on the hook for that. It would be pretty wild that Shohei Ohtani might do it. Now, people are saying he won't do that.
Yeah, his translator was quoted as probably not, but it's still a possibility. And if this develops and changes.
That's all he can say right now, though.
Right.
Probably not until, oh my gosh, the guy is actually going to jail.
Maybe I don't want to be associated with this.
Everything around Shohei Ohtani going to jail.
For anybody that doesn't like the Dodger model, it was fake. To my Elaine from Seinfeld. Fake, 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 fake. Fake money. What's the show you like? Money isn't real.
Well, I've got just the shirt for you tomorrow.
Yeah, that's like, right. It's like the Dodgers basically, like, how are they doing this? They're cheating, but not cheating us in sports and their partners. The feds are coming and knocking. And this guy fire sailing the fire sale is the wrong word because he actually, technically turned a profit on it. But read between the lines there. The NBA knew they had a problem, a big problem. Who do they call up? They call up the guy from Disney who missed out on last time. Look, pal, you want we're going to facilitate this, but we have to make this look good for our partner here, Mr. Walter. You're going to have to put in $2 billion. All right. How does that even? Oh, and the Lakers, that's another sideshow. I mean, if you listen to Rome, he's talking all about that. Oh, the Bus family is selling. No, we're not. Genie getting involved. Oh, who doesn't love themselves a family feud? Like, when does Pagula family feud happen? Now, that's a very morose thought.
Yeah.
Right, but
it's entirely possible.
Tim, I'm looking way into the future. I'm hoping Mr. Pagula is here for 40 more years. Which would make him 117 or whatever. But,
and that's fine.
No, but that's fine. But but what's Que Pasa? What's the plan here? I don't know. But the Dodgers story is one to watch. And I'm not sympathetic whatsoever. Not sympathetic. If you're a Dodger fan and like, oh, this is great, we're playing by different rules. Yeah, you were playing by different rules. Might actually be illegal. Last call is for you, 585-866-4326. I'll tell you what's coming up on the show tomorrow. Take your calls, whatever is on your mind, Bills fans, or whatever take you want to have. Or if you want to put me on blast and rather than leave a voicemail, you could do that on the air too. My name is Gene Battaglia, WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester, the sports leader.
95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
Notice around your ducts or rising your heating and cooling bills? If you do, give Belknap a ring. With 0% financing, the cost of upgrading to a high-efficiency dual-fuel heating system is a breeze. Learn more at belknapheating.com. That's belknapheating.com. Go green, save energy and money with Belknap. Schedule a free estimate on your new installation. Give Belknap a ring, 716-688-1728. For more comfort and less ka-ching, give Belknap a ring. 585-866-4326. That is our phone number. When you look at the Texans right now, this is their depth chart. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Jalen Noel, Xavier Hutchinson, a wide receiver. Wow.
Not great, Bob.
No, not at all. So now you're just going to Google real quick. Wide receivers Houston can go trade for.
Keenan Allen's off the market today, too, because he signed with the Colts.
You realize Keenan Allen, if he gets, this is mind-blowing, if he gets 49 catches with the Colts this year, and I think that would be a good year. I don't anticipate that. But think about it. In this day and age, it shouldn't be an ask for like a third wide receiver. Tim, do you realize the NFL receiving all-time leaders list would read like this? Jerry Rice 1, Larry Fitzgerald 2, and number 3 would be Keenan Allen.
I did not know that.
That is like, right. So
that's an impressive career.
It is an impressive career. Yeah, if you're a team like the Patriots, they're in a good spot here with Kayshon Boutte. Where are they? If I'm New England, I am not giving up Boutte for just anything, just some random 4th round pick. No, pay top dollar, Houston. I'm sorry. Same thing with Jerry Jeudy. Now the Browns aren't going to trade Jerry Jeudy, will they?
They could. The Browns stink, so they don't need.
They're right.
All the players that are good for the Browns could be traded for assets because they don't care and they have not cared about winning. So bottom out this year, and if that means that you benefit later on, sure. Like, I disagree with it, but it makes sense if you want to lose.
Patriots would make sense if they got a draft pick because, all right, we let's send them somewhere where we actually need them to win week 1. You're doing that sooner than later. But for these receivers like Keenan Allen and like Stephon Diggs, yeah, if you waited just a little longer, you would have had Houston as an option there too. 585-866-4326. That is our number. But wow, that is just not good whatsoever. Seeing that result down in Houston today. You have Mike Evans wearing these little. I don't know. Did you see this? Like picture what you would have for NFL players wearing pants. Maybe they're pulled below the knee. Maybe they're pulled above the knee. And then there's Mike Evans wearing booty shorts today. Like, oh my gosh, dude, those couldn't be any tighter. And I think I'm seeing things that I really don't want to see here. I mean, you do you there, bud. So
got to dress appropriately for those electric factories that are injuring everybody.
Maybe that's it. Like the science there would be. It's like we could have more injuries in San Francisco. The booty shorts debuting today from Mike Evans. We've got the Yankees tonight who, all right, they put the Orioles down last night, and as a result, and I will continue to look at these American League playoff standings because it's kind of like the car accident. You go by like, ooh, yeah. It's going to end up being Ernie, isn't it? I think when it's all said and done, like Texas right now, Minnesota are tied for that last spot. The Jays just a half game back. Guardians and Orioles a game back. Detroit lost today. That puts them a game and a half back. And somehow, a team that lost 22-0 last night, Seattle, 3 back. Also, we got to explore, like, has there ever been a player that fell off the map as quickly as Cal Raleigh? Cal Raleigh. Unprecedented, right. Cal Raleigh, we discussed many times, like, wow, is he the MVP last year? We had that debate, and I think they got it right. I think Aaron Judge for what he did, but Cal Raleigh had a season very few seasons like in Major League, well, most home runs ever by a catcher. And he's coming back this year. He's batting 157.
He had more home runs last year than he has hits this
year. 157. Like, I haven't followed it all that closely. Did they give him the extended break, meaning, okay, we're giving you 10 days off here, Cal. Just go get your mind right. I don't know how they handled that. And I don't know if he's a bad guy. It leads you to ask questions. How can this slump just kind of go on and on like this? I mean, the only other player of recent times, I say the name and an Oriole fan is going to shudder, Chris Davis. Chris Davis was fantastic. You forget about that part. And then he got the money, and all of a sudden, it was the worst contract ever in baseball, right? Cal Raleigh, it was such a fun story last year, but to see that average flash up 157, oh, goodness.
Maybe he was overworked last year. He played in 159 games. I'm not sure if all of those were at catcher, but that is a lot of games for a catcher as a primary catcher. And he was in the World Baseball Classic. And if you look at that U.S. roster, a lot of those guys have been hurt this year.
Yeah, it's I hate subscribing to the World Baseball Classic, tacking on more baseball, is because I've come around on that. I think that is great. And I don't want to say that out loud because you know what I really want in 2028? I want Olympic baseball. I don't want to see amateurs. Give me the best against the best, and it's not you can't pencil in the United States. Like, you just can't. You don't think that Japan and the Dominican and these other places are really going to put out their best players? Of course. But it's a CBA issue. Will we have baseball by 2028? I'm hopeful. Tomorrow on the show, it's that time. Yes, we will talk to one PJ Glasser. Do you realize that only in a couple weeks with PJ, we will be talking – actually, no, check that. Next week with PJ, we'll be talking week 0.
That's soon.
We'll be talking about Belichick. What is the reason? Because Diana Rossini, was that the reason why we didn't have Bill and the girlfriend running around? Did we really, as a voyeuristic society, get that tired with the it's not May, December. It's March, December, right? With that relationship? What was that? Is it still going on? Oh, we can't joke about this anymore because Steve Belichick has some health issues. We'll talk to PJ Glasser tomorrow. Not about that, but about some of the other things happening in sports, golf, and everything else. If you missed any of today's show, well, you download the Odyssey app, and you can listen back to it in real time. We are on now 4 to 6, which is fantastic. This is the time we want to be on for drive time. And if it doesn't quite fit or you miss something, go back and listen to the Rewind feature. Take it with you tonight or wherever you get your fine audio. That includes Apple, Spotify, the whole thing. Again, thanks to our guest today, Dr. Charlie Schumann from Lattimore Physical Therapy. Thanks to Francesco, who is filling in today for our buddy Dan DeLorean. And thanks to Tim Schneider for his terrible take and guidance. My name is Gene Battaglia. BetMGM tonight is coming your way next here on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester. Have yourself a good night.